Hello, everybody. My name is Marcus Keane from the University of Galway, and it's my pleasure to act as moderator for this series, this ENLIGHT series, where the lectures or the presentations are aimed towards sustainable cities and smart cities. What I'd like to do firstly is to introduce my colleagues. I'll begin with Veronika Gežík from Comenius University of Bratislava in Slovakia. Let me just explain. Veronika is an associate professor in the field of management. She graduated from the Faculty of Natural Sciences of the Comenius University in Bratislava and completed her doctoral studies at the University of Sussex in Great Britain in the field of ecological economics. Currently, she's focusing on experimental and behavior economics in the field of sustainability and urban planning. My other colleague is Oleksandra Khalaim, who graduated in economics. She's a master's degree both in economics and environmental sciences and a PhD in ecology and environmental sciences. Her teaching is in the field of ecology and sustainable development for the last 13 years, both in the Ukraine and in Sweden. Okay, so just a few sort of ground rules here. I think there's 3 presentations. I think I start. I think Veronika is next. And I think Oleksandra will be after, will come third. All questions are to happen after the presentations, is the first thing. And we'd also like to kindly invite you to the networking session that will occur after this these set of presentations and the Q&A session. Okay, so what I'm going to do first now is share my screen and begin with each presentation is approximately 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. Okay, sorry now. Let's go back to where it started. Okay, so the title of my presentation, as you can see, is a mouthful. Okay, it's stakeholder engagement and technological roadmaps to support decarbonized infrastructure and smart and sustainable cities. I'm going to bring you on a bit of a whistle-stop tour. I'll briefly explain what I mean by sustainable smart cities. I'll give you a brief description of Galway City and its hinterland. I'll try and explain the kind of environmental, social, and economic drivers that pertain to Galway City and the importance of industrial and academic partnerships with regards to the sustainability of the city. I want to really start then to focus on energy and decarbonisation, and I'm going to introduce a particular project that we've had here in the university in collaboration with a medical device company called Boston Scientific that allowed us to take a journey on decarbonisation of global value chains. And finally, I'm going to make some comments on risk, resilience, and reward. Okay. So sustainable and smart cities, generally speaking, comprise of a number of key, if you like, pillars. Typically, you're talking about sustainable infrastructure, efficient public transportation, operations on renewable energy sources, use of urban farming, waste management, water conservation, and more recently, integrated digitalization across all sustainable infrastructure. Just to bring you quickly on a little tour of Galway. As you know, we're in Ireland, in the island of Ireland, and we're in the west coast here, as you can see over here. What I want to point out here are the actual economic, social and economic drivers that pertain to Galway City and cities in general. So sustainable energy communities. We have a community university sustainable project that we work with the city and within the university, specifically around the concept of EU decarbonisation zones. Culture is a very important feature within the city across a number of different activities, literature, film, theatre, music, and language. And the business sectors would focus mostly on manufacturing, tourism, retail and distribution, education, healthcare, financial, construction, cultural, and educational. So now this is where we start to get into relationships between the educational sector and the academic side. So I'm just briefly showing you the quadrangle in the University of Galway. It dates back to 1845. But the main thing I'm trying to point out here is the relationship between the university and the business sectors, both business and services. So then we move on to sustainability and climate change and what it means both to the university sector, the educational sector of the city, but also the industrial sector. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on three key areas that I mentioned previously to do with sustainable cities. So the three key areas I'm going to focus on are sustainable infrastructure, operations and renewable energy sources, and integrated digitalization across all sustainable infrastructure. So what do I mean by this? Well, I'm going to take you into this concept whereby we now need to look at energy not as a utility, but as an asset. And I'm going to look at it across manufacturing, education, healthcare, finance, and professional services. With that in mind, I'm going to talk specifically about a project to do with global energy management and decarbonization. And with these 6 bullet points, I'm going to try and bring you through almost a 10-year journey that the University of Galway has engaged with a particular medtech company in Galway called Boston Scientific. So I'm going to take you through different roles, and this is to do with the stakeholder engagement. I want to talk specifically about the role now of the stockholder or shareholder in global businesses. I want to speak specifically about the need for a change in culture and mindset, specifically around energy as an asset, not as a utility. And the two IOUNs, contextualization and visualization, how you do that with regard to energy as an asset, and also how you support this through evidence-based decarbonization as a pathway to sustainability. It's very, very important that the role of decarbonization is explicitly aligned within an actual organization's value chain. And ownership needs active participation of a number of stakeholders, shareholders, board members, executive membership across network within the site. And when I talk about decarbonization pathways, I'm looking at global value chains. So we're looking at scope 1 and 2 and 3 emissions. So try and put some practical concept on this. The project is called GEMS, Global Energy Management System. And this particular project was done in collaboration, as I said, with Boston Scientific, who are a multinational corporation focused on the development of medical and technical devices. I'm showing you a Parthenon here to kind of give you an idea of how we had to figure out the different relationships in order to plan out a decarbonization strategy that did not just include technology. So if we start at the very top of the Parthenon, the roof, if you like, we started out first looking at energy reduction, but then we focused on carbon reduction. I'll explain why shortly. But in order for this policy, if you like, at the top to make its way down to the different sites, and you have to remember Boston Scientific is a global network from the US into Europe and now most recently into Asia and the Middle East. We had to do a number of things. We had to be able to characterize each site in the same way. We had to be able to evaluate where they were in an energy management journey. And we had to figure out what were the processes involved where we could end up cutting energy, transforming energy from carbon-based energy to renewable energy, and finally compensation for the parts of the energy vector we could not cut. And most importantly then again is to make sure that we can share these learnings across a global network. So that's the fourth pillar there. So its foundations, as you can see, are formally corporate energy policy, a knowledge base that includes sites and network, and a global energy management team, etc. Just to give you an idea, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but these were the technologies that were implemented during this project in order to facilitate this decarbonization policy. So the first, as you can see up in the top, is to make sure we were using commercial industrial guidelines. We developed various digitalization tools, including a web-based decision support system, an energy management maturity model, and we did a lot of data acquisition, modeling and validation, etc. But at the end of the day, we managed to go down at the bottom left there, we managed to get the corporation to adopt a corporate strategy called C3, which was cut, convert, and compensate. But since we are a university, we had to make sure that all of these concepts and methodologies were evidence-based and peer-reviewed. So you'll see here on the left-hand side, we published in high-impact journals that included energy and cleaner production. And in a bigger sense, just to explain, the first part was a methodology that we had to develop, which was called GEMS, and you'll see the different contributors later. You'll see that methodology then influenced the corporation to develop a policy and then a strategy. And finally, we actually developed an energy maturity model, so each site could be evaluated with regard to how far it was on its journey of decarbonization. This is a screenshot that was borrowed with permission of Boston Scientific. It comes from their sustainability report of 2022, and it basically outlines a roadmap from 2017 out to 2050. Now, when we started the GEMS project, we started it back in 2014. We had two of their key members who took a PhD and a research master's, and it was in 2018 when they both completed. So with the work and with the methodology, if you can hark back to the Parthenon, they have now continued to develop the first milestone, which is carbon neutrality by 2030, and it to address emission scopes 1 and 2, but out to 2050 to drive towards net zero emissions. And again, they're tying in with the UN methodology called Science-Based Targets Initiative, or SBTI, and all of this is underpinned by energy management standards such as ISO 50001. I'm including this one again here on the bottom left is Sergio Contreras. Sergio would have done his master's also within the University of Galway during the development of the GEMS program. You can see here that at the same time, from 2018 up to 2022, we managed to reduce our energy for Boston Scientific, as you can see there, and reduce the CO2 footprint. So what have we learned from the GEMS project? So it literally has gone from 2014 out to almost 2024. We're almost at the stage of 2030, where it's to be carbon neutral, all sites, the entire corporation, and by 2050 to be carbon net zero. So what is important? These are things we've learned. You have to set your policies like carbon neutrality, 2030 to 2050. You have to outline exactly how you're going to do it through a cut, which is energy efficiency, a conversion process, which is moving from carbon-based energy to renewable energy, and compensate where you will actually end up buying certifiable credits for the small piece that you may not be able to get through either cut or convert. What's really important here is the concepts of risk, resilience, and reward, because as it turns out, the businesses of today realize the risks that climate change introduces in terms of impact to their businesses if they don't decarbonize their overall energy infrastructure. This has to be done using science-based targets and standards, be they ISO 50001 or most currently in our current project, IS 399. And companies now have to be resilient both in their operations and in the use of their assets. What is very important within these companies is the role of environmental social governance, enterprise resilience in governments, environmental data verification, environmental health and safety. And this is bringing us all the way back now to sustainable cities and smart cities to make sure that this transition is affordable for cities to address climate risk. Coming full circle, just to show you here, the man in the center is our president of the University of Galway, Kieran O'Hoherty, and the guys to his left and right are Noel Finnerty and Ronan Coffey, who are Boston Scientific employees who obtained their PhD and Masters respectively on this journey from 2014 up to 2018. And as you can see there, the carbon neutrality statement is there and the GEMS Parthenon is there. So as we say in Ireland, Garamila Mahagat, Ostoard, which means thank you very much for your attention. And like a lighthouse, gaining ENLIGHT Alliance will guide students to become lifelong learners and agents of change, etc. So that's the end of my talk. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And I think I'm handing over to Veronika.
Hello, thank you very much. I'm going to share now on my screen. I hope you can see it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Veronika Gežík and I'm from Comenius University. And today I'm going to talk about the project that I'm working together with Metropolitan Institute of Bratislava. And the project is called City for Kids. So you might start to wondering why I'm actually going to talk about the kids if the topic of today's lectures is sustainable city. And I will try to explain you that sustainability and kids are very much connected. And for me, sustainability is not only about decarbonization, but it's also about humanization of the city. So we're talking about walkability, so about people and kids can walk around the city, they can use public transport, they can use bicycles, but mostly they just spend time in the city, so they will use it. And if we look, if I may use the quote of Eva Kyle, which is a famous urban planner or gender expert from Vienna, she said that this indicator of the quality of public space is the age of children who moved freely on their own. So it means that if you see the kids or children in the city, it means probably that the place is safe, that parents are actually willing to let their children to played outside. And what this safety means that children walking by themselves, they can go and play in the cities. And here I would like to use the map from Tim Gill. He's from he's from UK, and he's kind of a specialist in children playgrounds in the urban environment. And he used this map to display or to show how the generation change and how children stopped moving around the city. So he was using this map, and here in Bratislava we developed a similar map showing how children in Bratislava change their behavior in the city. So in the big yellow part, you can see the great grandfather who was born in 1927, and he was able to walk and go fishing in the area of about 6 kilometers. And his son, he was born in 48. And this behavior already changed, and he was able to walk in the city district, which was the part of the city, and he couldn't go further on. But already his mother, actually not the mother, but the daughter, she was able to walk by herself just around the block, so in the street that she lived. And then she has a son, and he was able to stay just on the inner block under the supervision of their parents. So you see really much complete change of this behavior. And if you might think of your own childhood, how did you move around if you were able to go somewhere else without your parents or not? And why this change? Why parents are so worried to let their children move around the cities by themselves? And one of the reasons is the change in traffic. For example, here in Bratislava, in last 50 years, the population has changed about, or not even doubled. So in the 70s, it was about 260,000 inhabitants, and now it's about 420,000 inhabitants. So it's not even doubled, but if you see, we are driving 15 times more cars than in 1970. So it's really huge difference. So absolutely not sustainable. And if I can use another quote of Rick Cole, he's an American urbanist, and he said, when we build our landscape around the places to go, we lose places to be. So we are really focusing on building the infrastructure that move us from one place to go, and we are losing this sense of being able to spend time. So people and children stop spending time outside. They don't play outside that much as they used to. So our idea of making cities more sustainable we decided that the children is the best objective, but we are thinking how to find the children, where the children spend most of their time, and we found out that children spend most of the time during the day at school. So when we look on Bratislava, we see from the data that 95% of all Bratislava residents live less than 15 minutes walk from the nearest elementary school. It doesn't mean that they go to the school, kids, but they have a chance to be enrolled in the school, and they can walk there. So we decided that we can use schools as our frame of the project, and we'd like to focus on the public spaces around these schools. And schools are also like a natural place for communities of children, of teachers, and also of the neighborhood that people live. So schools are really close to everyone, and even more than 60% of inhabitants live in the walking distance of 5 minutes of walk to the nearest school. So Bratislava is built in a really good way that this could be very nicely. But from our research or from our investigation, we find out that more than 40% of children who commute to school by car, they do it 5 times a week. So if you already go by car, you do it very often. And the kids, they go to school by car at least sometimes. So everyone who has a car, they use it, even they live in a short distance from the school. So our pillars of the project. So we'd like to really build the streets or the public places around the school, and so we want to change the design of the streets that children and their parents can use, and they will be willing to let their kids walk to school by themselves because of the safetyness of the place. And as Bratislava, as the city of Bratislava, what they do, they're planning a lot, they're making a lot of new infrastructure. But people, when they see some nice picture, what is going to happen in, I don't know, in the future, they usually say, oh, no way, I don't want to change. I don't want you to take my parking lot or parking spot. I don't want to anything to be different. I'm okay with this. But you have to really experience it. So we want to involve surrounding neighborhood and local community. We want them to be part of this process. And for the design, street design, we really want to focus on the small changes, small term interventions, which is called tactical urbanism, which is really fast and it's much cheaper, and it's not permanent. So it's temporary changes. They can be tested and later on verified if they are working or not. And if not, we can come back to different solution, or we can come back to the previous. And when we already built this new street design, new places for children, we want to support the play in this outdoor movement for the communities to live. So we'll use different interventions, like a soft interventions for children to use. And again, we involve kids and local communities for creating these activities. So those are our traffic calming street design interventions. So, for example, we regulate parking in front of the school. It doesn't mean that we close all parking in front of the school. It's just we provide different spaces which are not in the same road. But if people already have to go by car, they can park, for example, 5 minutes away, and then they can walk a little bit to school. Another intervention is for example, school street regime. So we close the school street or the road which is in front of the school for a period of time, for example, for half an hour or 1 hour before the school start. So cars cannot enter the road, but children can walk there, and they feel much safer in that area. And we also try to make this place nicer. So we use asphalt art. So we draw some pictures and some things on the asphalt. And so the place looks much nicer. So this is how the interventions are created. So it's a really long process, but it's still much shorter and cheaper than the permanent changes. And so we have to select the school. So we select the school and the community that are willing to do these changes. We talk to them before, and we then do the data collection. So we count the number of cars. We measure, for example, their speed limit around. So we look how pedestrians walk, how kids going to the school and from the school. And then based on this data, we have some basic transport study that is made by the traffic engineer. And then we consult it with traffic inspector at city district, and then we assign for temporary changes. And when we have already this area, we try to fill it with tactical urbanism. We organize some festivals and playful events for children, so they will start to use it. They will learn that this place is safe for them, and they can use it, and they can spend time over there. So this is our first school street, which was made in Bratislava, created in Bratislava. It was half an hour. It is closed road for half an hour before the school starts, and cars cannot enter that. They can park there. They can be still in the street, but they cannot move during this hour. So I'll show you the picture how it was before. On the left side, every car with the kids entered this road, and it was very narrow, so they didn't have even space for turning, and that was kind of a chaotic space. And even there are sidewalks over there. You see the children were going out of the car on the road, and this sidewalk ends here, so the children anyway have to go over the road, and it was very complicated. And when we close it in these morning hours, then it was much safer. It looks much nicer. And we also have this asphalt tower created on the sidewalk, so the road is much nicer for children. And this is the place where the cars are completely prohibited to go. It's not finished yet, of course, because we started only this year. And it's going to put some street furnitures and some greenery. And this is our first school street. We started 2 years ago with one pilot study, and then this year we continue with 10 different primary schools, and hopefully we'll continue with other schools next year. So this is how we change also the traffic in the area. This is where the school street starts. So the cars will go just for till this point. This is just glued. This is really cheap interventions, and we created this roundabout, and cars can just turn and go back. We created this pickup and kiss and drive zones that parents can stop and walk with their kids to the school, or kids can just walk by themselves. And we tested this intervention for several weeks, and then we analyzed the results of how these small interventions have changed the behavior of parents. So here you can see another school, which was really chaotic and it was really problematic. Here, this intersection was kind of crazy because cars were parking where they want, and they were just turning, and this road was stuck and clogged. And here at the end, the cars were parking even on the sidewalk. So we put some barriers there, and we changed the intersection like this. So the radius of the intersection is changed, and we created some parking spaces for parents in this area. So again, they can walk with kids to the school, especially with the younger ones. They are afraid to send by themselves. And here is another big crossroad, which was very strange, and this radius was very big. So the cars were going very fast here, and this place was kind of empty. And then we changed the radius of this crossroad, so how the intersection, the cars had to go much slower. They had to give a ride to these cars over there, and we created again some kiss and drive zones in this road, so the cars will not have to go directly in front of the school. And again, because when we finish in autumn, so we're still waiting for better weather in spring. So we're going to test it. We're going to use this place We put some benches here and some tables, so we still want to use it and test it if people are going to spend some time. This fence is already gone, so it's much more inevitable. It's much better for pedestrians now. And this is how people use it. This is some picnic people used did in the night. And there are some kids played in that tables in that area. And this is our first pilot school. And we really work a lot with kids from that school. And they created the idea that the school is like a safe port for them. And so we worked with the artist who gave the task to kids to draw boats with the pattern they want, they like. And then they were selecting the best boats, and the artist then drove these boats over here. So kids were very happy to see those because they see that it's their art. This is what they wanted. And you see these dots here, they kind of like from Google Maps roads. So they are going from different direction. You cannot see here in the picture whole area, but they're going from different directions. They are kind of leading the kids go to the safe port of the school. And again, we're going to put some greenery here. They're already prepared, but we're waiting for autumn to continue, and also some street furniture that kids can wait for the parents. And as I mentioned, participation is very important in this process. So we talk in the schools with kids. We ask them how is the way they go to school, what is the best spots in this way, if there are some dangerous or unsafe places they don't like, they don't go. And we use all this information for our interventions. And we also use this kind of empathy walks where we walk with kids from the school around the neighborhood. And they pretend, in this picture, they pretend that there are like 4-year-old kids because this mask is in the height of 4-year-old kids. And they realize actually they are not very visible because they are too small and the cars don't see them if they are behind other cars. And actually they don't see much because of the cars. Cars are much higher, and small kids, they have problems to see if there is any danger going. We also use like wheelchairs or strollers for kids to again realize that there are some other kids who might have problems, for example, to pass the road. For them it's maybe easier, but some of their classmates can have a problem with that, so they come somehow trying to feel the feelings of other people, other children. And here is asphalt art from other school. Again, it was done by the students from the architecture faculty. They were working with children from the school, and they together they created this pattern. And those interventions are, they say that, for example, lake is 14 minutes of walk, and the bus is 3 minutes, and the nearest playground is 260 steps. So they are kind of really small nudges for kids to say that, okay, you can even walk to the lake. You don't have to go by car, and it's easier. It's much nicer for you to do it. So. And the last pillar that we really want to support the game and the play, that we want children to use these places. So when they are going to spend more time by this activity, so the physics will be much better, and they can create friendship and engage the community, because when kids spend more time outside, their parents will spend more time outside, and they will know each other, they will know their neighbors. So it's really good for a community engagement. They can play it outside and they feel independence. When we talk with the parents, they were really proud that their kids some of the kids now can walk to school by themselves. They were really happy about that. And also children were kind of feel that, okay, now I'm grown up a little bit because I can do it by myself. And of course, it's fun for everyone. And so those are our building blocks that we use for this soft interventions and to support game outside. So when we have these play street festivals, we use different play pavilions. I will show you some pictures, and play kits. So with all this, we also want to educate kids. We want to educate them about the environment, about the urbanism. We want to educate them about the safety, and we wanted to communicate and scale up the project that can be used in different districts of Bratislava. They can be used in different cities in Slovakia. So by encouraging this outdoor play and independent movement, we really create, or we want to create, a safe and inclusive neighborhood where children can play together. So this is very important for us. And for this soft intervention, again, we're working with kids. So children are organized this program. They decided what they want to have them, and it's always unique for neighborhoods. So we always talk with the children with that school. They decided for different activities, and we also build this pavilion that can be, or it is moved from one locality to another one. It stays there, for example, for 4 or 5, 6 weeks. And it's in the morning, someone is going to open it. And inside the pavilion, there are toys and 2 different kits for children. For example, there are bicycles, scooters, or helmets and skates and other gadgets that children can use. And those toys are from our reuse center. So if someone don't want this toy, they donate it to the reuse center, and then the reuse center provide this toys to this pavilion. And so it stays open every whole day. And then in the evening, someone is going to come and will close it. So it stays in the locality for several weeks. And we organize also different activities like concerts for kids, or some theater performances, or different activities that are workshops that children can use it. So this is really something. It happened that we put it in front of the school. They have big place, concrete place that no one was using. And then we were coming there and see that there are a lot of children playing and really using this play because of this one of the pavilion that we put over there. And we have this kind of play kit that it provide like a road to the school. There are different type of things that the children can do and they have to pay attention to. And it's really making this area fun for kids. And another soft intervention that it was very successful is the walking school bus. For sure, some of you know it, but it's a kind of intervention that some parents are walking with kids to school, but there are some children that are without parents. But it's like an organized activity going around the area and picking up children to go to school. You can see they can use it in even the rainy weather. And the last part is our school street, the street festivals. The children can really use it. So we close the road for the weekend, and children and their parents can enjoy it. And maybe just for the end, this is our first evaluation of our first intervention of the school street. And we've seen differences in the behavior. And the reason we also did the questionnaire, but we talked with parents and we asked them what was the reason. One of the reasons was that it's more inconvenient for them to go by car because they don't have spots to park. And they decided that they can walk these 5 minutes and then they can go to work by car later on. And also that the place is much safer, so they are happy to send their kids by themselves. So we are really happy that parents change their behavior. Of course, there are some issues that are not solved, but this is the testing regime, so we can still do some changes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. That's a really, really good project. I'm just thinking that if we consider children as future ambassadors for sustainable cities, this is a super project. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so our third and final speaker, Oleksandra, we'll hand over to you if you'd like to start.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And I will bridge now with my presentation from sustainable energy through sustainable city infrastructure to green zones. So my presentation is more of storytelling in a way. I want to share some of our research that we were doing back in Ukraine and how it ended up with a new ENLIGHT course that I also warmly welcome you to apply to. It's still possible. So let's start. And so our journey will be like storytelling journey through some time. And we start with station 1 in our time journey in 2016 with a pilot project that was sort of initiative back that time in Kyiv city in Ukraine, where we're using thermal mapping and CO2 leaf measurements to assess trees functioning under hot conditions. And then we will go to 2018, and I will talk a little bit about exciting part of our research evolution with getting National Geographic Society Award to continue this research. And then we will come to 2021 with the time when we started the project, all Ukrainian project on trees inventory and how it is evolving now in times of war. And we will finish with this year, 2023, with the launch of new ENLIGHT course that is summing up some of previous research, but not only. So back in 2016 in Kyiv, a group of young scientists and civil society activists funded by one EU project started thinking how we can actually know how we should plan our green zones in Kyiv city under heat waves and heat islands. And back then it was very, very new thing. We already had, of course, climate change and heat waves in Ukrainian cities, but we were still lacking a lot scientific evidence on how we should, what is going on here and now in terms of field data and so on and so forth. So we designed it in a way in 4 levels. On leaf level, we were trying to estimate the photosynthesis activity, photosynthetic activity of 5 tree species that are very typical for Kyiv city, to see how actively they are absorbing CO2 under hot conditions. So it was black poplar, horse chestnut, robinia, linden, and maple. And as you can see here, black poplar appeared to be very like the most active absorbent of CO2 with high photosynthetic rate. And then on street level, we had the drone with the thermal camera, and we made a high-resolution thermal mapping of our boulevards with different type of trees, with different canopy cover. And then we produced some recommendations of what kind of shape of the canopy is better to plant out to have enough shadowing and nice, comfortable microclimate for boulevards. And then on a district level, we did same with drone and thermal camera to assess canopy cover that provides enough comfort during heat wave. So it appeared that 35% of or more of canopy cover provides a good shadowing to feel comfortable during a heat wave. And then we were on the city level comparing satellite images, thermal images, with again greening coverage for residential areas of Kyiv, trying to see which canopy cover is optimal. And again, it was around 40% of canopy cover. And back then, normatives for Kyiv, it was 25% of canopy cover for residential areas. And that was not met because in the newly built districts, it was around 10%. So it was definitely not enough. And inspired by that results, and that was like we wanted to continue. So in the 2018, I was super proud to get award from National Geographic Society Explorers Program. And we continued with a new project. We picked 4 courtyards with different level of greening, 13%, 21, 25, and 33. And under hot and comfort weather conditions, we were we were collecting data in 3 research components. So first research component was we had 16 portable sensors, and we were measuring air temperature and humidity constantly, like every 10 minutes for 14 days. And we were placing those sensors in 3 sort of areas in our courtyards. First, this was non-shaded area exposed to direct sunlight with lamp posts. And second, we were placing those sensors on single trees, sort of non-intensive shadowing. And then third sensor went to a group of trees, like deep shadow area. And as you can see from that bottom left graph that is representing a morning temperature rise for different types of sensors. So blue line is non-shadowed lamp post sensor, and you can see that temperature is rising dramatically. And even single tree provided enough shadow to create sort of more mild and comfortable microclimate under this temperature rise. So the main point was that every tree matters in the city, even standing alone. And then second component was to make some thermal imaging again of our courtyards. And this is like a typical Kiev courtyard looks like. And we did also 3D imaging of that. I will not go into details about like what kind of results we got, but we were trying to combine again, like what kind of shadowing are we getting in a courtyard and how it corresponds with the level of greenery. And then third component was again to estimate CO2 fluxes on a leaf level for linden, black locust, osier, and maple. So this you can read in the related paper that you can see here. And then I was thinking, but maybe we have somewhere in the world some existing like modeling tool that can estimate ecosystem services of trees to answer the questions, what kind of services trees provide for us, and how can we use this to plan better our green areas in the cities. And in 2018, I was happy to get in touch with developers of a beautiful i3 toolbox. That is a toolbox that helps to assess urban forest infrastructure functions and values. And it was developed in US by the Institute, but it's like really nicely presented worldwide. So the idea is that you come and you make a field inventory of one tree, you collect tree height, canopy width, the diameter on the breeze level, like basic parameters of a tree, and then you have also data from your city, like location, pollution data, precipitation data, and you input all of that in i3 Eco platform. And then you get out of that the number of ecosystem services that this tree provides, like how much carbon it takes, how much oxygen it provides, how it improves air quality, and so on and so forth. And you get it also in monetary value. So the tool can say you how much money this tree provides to the city in terms of ecosystem services. As you can see here, this tool is already integrated in quite a lot of cities and countries worldwide, but I was like really keen to have it on board in Ukraine as well. So now we can proudly say that we have managed to make it in 2021-2022 when we launched with my colleagues from NGO, Ukrainian Ecological Club Green Wave, a project with acronym I3 4UA. And the full name of the project you can see in the screen. It's Transparent and Participatory Green Space Inventory System in Ukraine. And the goal was to build out i3 tool for Ukraine to be available in all our communities. And we started it in September 2021, and we got some funding from US Forestry Agency, and we are partnering with i3 developers, Davy Institute. So quickly, What was our timeline for this project? Like in the fall 2021, we were collecting all necessary data to have this full country build out for I3 Eco, and it's like you are collecting data for 1,438 hromadas, that is tertiary administrative division units in Ukraine. And then our plan was to launch a national call for subgranting to have 4 pilots in 4 regions of Ukraine to use I3 Eco to make 3 inventories. And then we wanted to collect additional data for our pilots, to train volunteers, to make inventory, and then to launch finally in 23 All Ukrainian Academy, I3 for UA. And we are like small team, mostly female team, small NGO that are running this project. And all of you know that in February 24, last year, the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russians started. And of course, it means for us that we actually should suspend the project or stop it or to continue but adapt to a new reality. And we decided to continue. And it was like sort of hard decision because many of our colleagues and other ecological NGOs, they transferred their activity mostly to humanitarian aid or more like relevant in this situation purposes. But we decided that we should go on because like if everyone comes only to humanitarian aid, then other parts of societal work and activities, they will decline. But due to security reasons, we had to reduce our piloting only to western regions of Ukraine, and we hold all of our trainings how to use I3 online, and we went to flexible and remote formats of work, like our work of our organization, also due to security reasons and like war going on and shelling and air radar sirens and everything. But like what I wanted to show you, this is part of our Google form that was application for those piloting that was national call originally, and we have got 28 applications, and some of those applications were from eastern and southern Ukraine that was very close to active military operation. It means that people, like communities, were applying to a project that is related to trees in times of the war. And especially I should pay attention in that application that was sent to us on 8th of February, just last 3 days before the invasion started, and that was from Mariupol. And I don't know if you're aware about Mariupol. It's one of the biggest cities of Ukraine that was completely destroyed by Russians. UN reported that is more than 90% of residential area has been destroyed in Mariupol. And due to Ukrainian official statistics, around 25,000 civilians were killed there. So we have this application from the city that doesn't exist anymore. And the 5 applications we received on February 24, when the invasion started, and even later. So it was amazing for us and heartbreaking in a way to see that local communities keep applying to the project that is about trees inventories under life-threatening situation. So the piloting went super well. We have picked 4 communities in Western Ukraine, and we have made the inventory of 800 trees with help of 350 local volunteers. And here you can see some pictures how local volunteers were doing that in times of war, and they were very excited. And it was such a beautiful commitment of local people doing that. And we were asking ourselves why local communities are taking care about the trees in life-threatening, like post-normal situation we have in Ukraine. And this is the list of arguments we have got from them and what we have reflected ourselves. So it was really important for people to be part of like-minded community around the trees and ecosystem services of trees, and to continue this lifelong learning that is provided by the project. And it was very important not to get mad, like psychologically, to shift the focus from war-related threats to some public activism. And it was in a way possibility to build a better future locally here and now in their own communities, advocating importance of their own trees. So basically, it's like you feel more alive and you have some meaningful life under this post-normal reality doing this project in local communities. And that was, in a way, how to take care of yourself through caring the trees. And that was really interesting insight, sort of unexpected for us running this project. So I would, that was a bridge to the course that we're launching now in Uppsala University now in 2023. And we want to continue this line of like why it is meaningful to take care about trees, because we have climate change and we have heat waves in Europe, and it will intensify definitely. So this we will touch in this course, and it's 5-credit course that is hosted by Uppsala University in Sweden, and we will take it in May. It will be blended format, 2 weeks online and 1 week offline on site in Uppsala. And so we have really nice representatives, like teacher group on board, and also Devi Institute that is taking care about I3. And we will have Uppsala Municipality, and we will pick some trees together with Uppsala Municipality to make inventory of them. And we also have on board teachers from University of Basque Country and University of Tartu. So it's like really, really good. And course content, it's like last slide. So theoretical part of the course will cover many different aspects around ecosystem services of trees, as you can see on the slide. And practical part, as I said, it will be field work to make some outdoor tree inventory in Uppsala Municipality using i3 tools. And we also dive into some case studies worldwide using i3. So we're welcoming bachelor and master students from ENLIGHT Partner University to be part of this course. And it's an interdisciplinary course, and it's also available for professionals in urban greenery in a way. So using this QR code, you still have some chance to apply for the course, because it's like deadline is 15th of November. And yeah, and so you're welcome to apply for the course. And if you have any questions on that or any like possibilities to collaborate, you can reach out to us, Uppsala University, Swedish Sustainability Learning and the Research Center. So that was all from my side and my 15 minutes. Thank you. Marcus, you are muted, just if you have.
Apologies. Thank you very much, Oleksandra. A wonderful project in very trying circumstances, and it is very, very uplifting to see how people can still get an emotional uplift specifically from nature in a context like that. I wouldn't mind taking part in that course, by the way. So I'll have a look at that QR code later on. Okay, so we're open to questions now. My understanding is the questions will be posted in the chat. Is that correct, Oleksandra?
Yeah.
Okay, so if there are any questions in relation to any of the presentations, all of the presentations, we're very interested in. Okay, so Veronika, you get the first question. Can you see it in the chat? It's what are the responses from the parents? And you're on. Yeah,
thank you for the question. Yeah, it depends. For the parents that the issue was mostly safety, they are very happy and they want to continue by walking, and they want to continue letting the kids to walk. For the parents who are driving the car because it's convenient for them, or because they just want to drive the car and they feel that their kids don't need to walk, then there are parents that are angry with the changes that we are doing. But of course, we understand that we just cannot just say that you cannot drive your car. But this is what we want to provide the space for children, and we want to really focus on parents and children that are pedestrians and that are walking, and we wanted to make the place safer mostly for them, because everyone who is in the car is much safer than the one who is without the car. So yes, but we also working with parents who are not happy with the changes. We have a different focus group. We have different spaces where parents can talk to us, And of course, we have different angry messages on Facebook, but those are mostly the louder group of people who just want to be loud on Facebook. So yeah, there are different reactions. Marcus, you are again muted.
Marcus, you're again muted, but I can read the question. What are your current recommendations on the trees in the cities given the chestnut disease in Europe? I mean, we struggle actually in Kiev city as well with that because chestnut is the symbol of Kiev city, and they are like getting more and more ill in the recent years. So there is no like, and I'm not arborist myself, so I'm rather doing with like urban ecology, not with like how to heal the trees. But as far as I know, it's not an easy like solution. So there is no like magic pill for that, unfortunately. So maybe it will end up with like other tree species replacing chestnuts, unfortunately. But I cannot say more than that because it's not like my field.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, this one's to me. What is, in your opinion, the particular challenges of relevant issues to urban sustainability, like waste disposal? Okay, you, in a sense, have caught me out there because my specific area is in energy utilization. Okay, in terms of waste disposal, I can speak with regards to some of the companies I work with in the medtech sector, and their focus on waste disposal is again around the scope 3 emissions. Okay, I know that's not necessarily what you're asking because you're talking about urban waste disposal. And I guess you're talking about things like a landfill, or you're talking about recycling, etc. I'm not in a position to give you a really good answer on that, other than the community in Galway have got together and have at least identified, if you like, the main waste streams, and they're trying to get the various stakeholders that are involved, from industry to residences to shopping areas, all to actually sit down and start thinking about this in a deeper way. And that's probably about as much as I can respond with regard to waste disposal. My apologies. I don't have an in-depth answer for that. Any other questions?
I was supposed now to move to the networking, or
yeah, as far as I know, we can all, as you can see in the chat there, you can actually join the networking event through the link that Oleksandra has just provided. So I guess we switch over to that now. Yeah, okay. So we'll switch over to the networking and we'll see you all there. All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.